You stole my heart, you intercepted it. Now you're gone, have to accept it. Did I meet your mom too soon? Or did I do what I always do? Yeah, we made it to the 50, and then you kissed me. We made it to the 40, a new love story. We made it to the 30, and you did me dirty right then. You put the end in tight end, and as I touched down, just like you in a game, I'm in another town, and nothing feels the same. Wish I could go back when we met that day. Oh, whoa, and throw a flag on the play.
German sips with a grin so wide. Pogs on the table can't hide his pride. Creator in the corner starts to glare. Madness sparks and hate fills the air. Stack 'em high, a tower of luck. Germans winning, it feels like pluck. Alice Matt's fury, a brewing storm. Visions of pogs in every form. Pogs are spinning, tables turning. Alice Matt's eyes with fierce fire burning. Germans' laughter echoes loud in a world that's pog-bound proud. Matt sees and he's mad insane. Eyes on fire, can't take the strain. Pogs and pieces drive him to pain. His patience snapping like an old chain. And he's mad insane. Eyes on fire, can't take the strain. Pogs and pieces drive him to pain. His patience snapping like an old chain. Du bist nie gewinnen, Entenmann. Du bist nie gewinnen, Entenmann. Alas, mud fumes can't take no more. Pogs and slammers hit the floor. It's not about the game you see. It's about what fun could be. Du bist nie gewinnen, Entenmann. Du bist nie gewinnen, Entenmann. Du bist nie gewinnen, Entenmann. Du bist nie gewinnen, Entenmann.
Lovely. I see a lot of people on stream today. I should put the virtual, what do you call it? Virtual graphics. This one? Yeah, let's do this one for now. Let's see how this looks. I haven't seen how it looks on the YouTube side yet. No dropped frames. And I have the YouTube tab open, so all you liars in the chat, you can't tell me that I don't see that I'm dropping, because I could see for myself if I'm dropping or not. And right now, it looks pretty smooth. Now I can't help the potato look to it. What I mean by potato, I mean the I guess the Vaseline look that you guys said it has. So, but at least now I know how to adjust the focus. So it looks better. But let me see. We got Massive Panda in chat. How you doing, my friend? Massive Panda. Always glad to see you here. Welcome. Tim Olson, the creator of Melvin. He's on Melvin #4 right now, and he's currently doing pages for it. So yes, unlike LRJ, I don't just win because I actually do stream consistently. No shade to LRJ, but consistency, my friend, consistency. And Massive Panda says the simplified art style will get hated on so hard by the community, which makes me like it even more. Haha. That's why I'm here, because people don't like my art style because of their reasons for not liking it. So that only makes me want to be here even more, because I am the creator of Road Warrior Drake, and I got the 2 graphic novels, Street Champion Road Warrior Drake and Beast Citizen Road Warrior Drake. And I just sent out my second batch of books this past week. Monday, the 3rd batch is going out. And I sent her from the print shop about the manga, so I'm going to send them an email and say, hey, what's going on with that? So I'll get word on that ASAP. But yeah, so you will get 2 exciting graphic novels with their own complete stories, and yet they're so connected. So they're each going to have a satisfying read. Comedy and action combined into one. JAV Stylor says, hi. Just hi. Just hi. I can respect people who give the bird to the status quo. We are rebels. We are true rebels here. Unlike this guy right here who says, what is this fud buckery? I saw what he did there. Thank you. That was good because that helped me not lose my monetization status. Oh, it's KSSSSSSS. Who the F is Diane? Wait, Elasma is. I am not. Listen to me. You know that I do these streams on other people, not on me, okay? You know that. So you're just trying to gaslight me and try to. I mean, what I mean, KSS is no. We're not. Diane is obviously a different person. Obviously a different person. Let me go ahead and mute this tab here. Actually, let me mute my phone. Not the tab, but the Facebook tab I have open. Let me go mute my phone while I'm at it as well, so that the notifications do not impede on the sounds of the actual streaming that we're doing. So there we go. Now that's taken care of. Tree Goblin says, "Old oi Alice." There's no Alice Matt here. I'm here for the pog on Peanut Head. I know you are, Mood of Hell. I know you are. Fashion Skirt says, AI music is a mistake, but better than K-pop. Hey, unlike everything else, you don't get struck for AI music. I mean, not that it'll ever take the place of real music. I mean, I will listen to real music any day over AI music for the purpose of doing streams and getting the content flowing. They don't strike you for AI music, and I'd rather just not play with even the royalty-free music. Check this out. Royalty-free music, you can still get struck for that, believe it or not, because nothing on YouTube is royalty-free. There's still a license you got to get, and there's still some restrictions to it. And at any point, if you were to take royalty-free music, and let's say you put it on a live stream, right? You did all the bells and whistles, you put in the credits and everything, right? At a year or two from that point, the creator can say, you know what, I'm going to copyright this shit, and they will copyright it, and there's nothing you could do about it. So the one thing AI music has done very well is it keeps streamers safe from that copyright crap. Now, if you have a license, that's different. And one day, once I'm making more money, I'll get a license and then I can play, legit human style music, and I don't got to worry about getting copyrighted because they get their money, I get my money, and everybody's good. But until then, I'm playing it safe. So that's how it's set up on the YouTube sphere. That's the rules that's set up. That's how it's made for creators and streamers. You got to play it safe. I'm just going by the rules, and I'm abiding by the rules while bending the rules. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Matt Bennett says, alas, at the receipt keeper. I know, I am. I absolutely am. Don't sleep on me. Don't sleep on me. But I know you guys have been enjoying my videos, the documentary style videos that I'm doing. I'm having fun doing them. And I'm also keeping an eye on which videos do well and which ones don't do well. So that way I don't repeat the ones that don't do well and stick to the ones that do well. Like, for example, the last video that I did on the AI stuff with the Marvel's Avengers, it broke 100 views after 2 days, and it's currently, I think, at 125. And I did a short from that video that's currently at 25 views. But I took that same short and put it on TikTok, and that's currently at 300 views. So I'm balancing between multiple platforms to get more eyes on what I'm doing and building my audience that way. No, my mic sounds good, and you know it. So don't you dare. By the way, there is a link to Beast Citizen Road Warrior Drake. See, I got the good mic on. So you can't tell me it sounds like crap. I can see it. Yeah. By the way, that go for me. That for my comic link at some point is going to be closed. I'm thinking of closing it before the end of the year, and then if anybody needs a copy of Beast and Road Warrior Drake after that, you'll have to contact me directly. Only because uh with the cost rising as it is, I can't sustain things the way they are. So I want to keep uh I want to try to like keep a library of books that I can sell at the cons and what have you, and then that way while that's going on, I can also work on floppies before I work on the third graphic novel in the Road Warrior Drake saga. So uh yeah, aha, KSS, aha, aha. I see what you're doing there, and it ain't working. It ain't working. Diane is pissed, so pissed. Diane got his panties in a bunch. Her. She's a he. She's a her. Why do I look so? It's the lighting. What can I tell you? As a matter of fact, I should put the light on here. Hold on 1 second. Let me put the light on here. Okay, it'll add a little more color because you people hate color, and I don't want to do what you people want. So, Desert Nomad. That's Hell Chat. Hell Desert Nomad. Good to see you here. Welcome. Gee is lying. See, that's why you're in the ban zone, Gee. This is why you're in the ban zone because you want to type shit like this and you want to try to get me in trouble and trying to cancel me, but you can't cancel me. I'm uncancelable. It's a good try though. I actually appreciate your efforts because it's very admirable the length with which you will try to cancel me, but I'm untouchable now. You can't do that. So too bad. Let's see here. Kirk says, "Don't get royalties either." By the way, Miss Sour Streams, you're not a peanut head to me. Well, that is love. I received that. I received that love. So definitely received that love. We got the Iron Prime of the Fact Circle, Baldoing the House. Yes, that's a reference to something, of course. I don't know what. The D word thinks he's gonna make money. I am. I'm important. I'm important. I'm legit. Okay, I'm legit now. Me, Liefeld, McFarlane, McMiller, we're all legit. So you can't be making fun of me. You have to respect me. Damn it. Master Penis, I'm not even sure what YouTube's rules are. So you cannot even upload a video with copyright song without getting struck, even if your video channel isn't monetized. Okay, so so you'll either get struck or you'll get they'll copyright claim your channel. Or not your channel, but that specific video. So like if you're not monetized, it doesn't affect you. But if you're monetized and you're getting a lot of views, you want that ad revenue, even if it's not that much, but it accumulates. So I kind of want that ad revenue. For example, my last stream on Monday, the Freaks review that we did, shockingly, it's currently at over 300 views. And that's like my best performing stream in over a month. In the review department, not counting the drawing streams. The draw streams do consistently well. Like the draw streams will get 200 to 300 not 300 live views. It'll get 200 to 300 views total. The Indie Comic Outliers or the Monday Monster Moratorium streams will get maybe a little over 100 tops. The last one of these that even got to 200 was like over a month ago. But the Freak stream is currently over 300 views and it's still gaining. So, but I'm not monetized now because I made the dumb decision of playing the ending song with White Bat the White Bat song, which is the slow song that I used to play for my Schnagglefeld streams. That got copyright claimed. So any revenue on that one is not going to that author. So I make no money off that stream, and that turned out to be the best performing stream in a while. So I lose money that way. So so now I got to going forward. See the other song, the Nina song, the Runaway. I do a revenue share with that, so I make money on the stream, but so does Nina for that song. So at least I get something for that, and I'm okay with that. I'd rather get something than nothing. You know what I mean? So that's why oh wait, I'm behind the okay. How did I go back? Let me go further down in the chat. I'm gonna skip a few chats, okay? So because I went behind. So okay. KSS says, Eliza, I watched a video featuring Shane freaking out over Gary Neurotic's autobiography. Is Shane special or is he secretly being paid to stress and affect Gary's book, or is he both? It's a grift. Those people are now are just their brand is to hate on anything that the Friday Night Tights crew do. I'm not saying that those guys don't deserve whatever criticism. I mean, look, you're free to like whatever you like, but let's be honest, that the CG crowd isn't gonna praise anything that the Friday Night Lights crew guys do. They're just not. But at the end of the day, Gary Neurotic should only care about his fans, and he's got a lot of fans. That's why he's doing his book, because he knows he can make bank off of it, and good for him. He got that fan base. So as far as I'm concerned, if I'm Gary, he should only care about his fans. Everything else is noise that you can block out. And colors, I see what you're doing in the chat. I'm not highlighting any of it because I'm not spelling that word because I'll get struck, and I'm not going to do it. Colors. Plus, you're in the ban zone. You should know better. And I see Geek claiming that he flagged the stream. Of course, you guys did that because you're in the ban zone and you're all the army of cancel culture. That's what you do. That's what you do. Can you show us the child safety seat you're sitting on to look? Screw you! Screw you! Screw you, Helmut. I used to hold you in high regards. No more. No more. Ever. Never Nugan. Gee says, playing music video, you get a copyright notice right away. Those are the worst to play. I don't know if you noticed this, but I've stopped playing the Queen's song. What's that song called? No, the one I used to play in the beginning where I showed the clips of all those females fucking up, and because that gets copyright claimed. You know, I mean, I can play it, but I lose revenue if I play that song. I stopped once I got monetized. I stopped playing that because I'll get copyright claimed. Nina still gets copy. You know, I'll get the shared revenue, so I'm still safe with that song as far as I'm concerned. So Nina seems to be fine with people playing her song. Just give her a cut, which I'm fine with. Absolutely, if she gets paid doing that, I'm more than happy to comply with that. So, but if the day comes and she says, you know, it's all 100% for me, I'll have to stop playing it. I like that song a lot, and if it wasn't for the fact that I was monetized, I keep playing it. But right now we're good, so that song still stays. Sarkis in the chat, he's arc my doge. So, let's see. Let's see here. 300 people watching. Okay, Tree Goblin, don't say things that's going to get you put in the ban zone. Be positive. We're a positive community. We are tight knit here. Be positive. God. What's wrong with people? Jolly tells us, what is this all about? So we're doing our indie comic outlet for tonight is Diane Kumin. And a funny word here is that Diane, and I didn't know this when I picked her, but when I researched her today, I was like, oh, wait a minute. She's the wife of Bill Griffith. And Bill Griffith was our indie comic outlier 2 weeks ago when we had Christy from Flip City magazine, her and Scott. That was their pick. They chose Bill Griffith. Well, they didn't choose it. They suggested it. I looked it up and I said, okay, we'll do Bill Griffith. So we did Bill Griffith in that stream. And today we're doing his wife, Diane Kumin. And she has quite the interesting story. I looked at her artwork and her involvement. It's funny because a lot of these creators, these artists, are all interconnected. Diane was part of the underground comics movement of the 60s. We did that stream about the comic anthologies, and she was a part of, and I'm jumping ahead a bit and we'll revisit it later on during the stream, but she was a part of the Women's Comics magazine, which was one of the comic anthologies that we covered. She was a part of that, and then she also went and did Twisted Sisters. We'll cover that during the stream. But yeah, so she has been, whether by name or not, she's been present in the last few comic outlier streams we did. So she's been definitely, you know, active retroactively. So scrolling down the chat. Okay, let's see. Is that the lovely Pumpkin Warpad? Yeah, that's Pumpkin Warpad. That's my character over here. She's one of the characters in the Road Warrior Drake stories, and she has her own comic that I just did, her floppy issue #1 of Pumpkin War Patch. So you could probably still get it. You can still get it in the from my comic link, roadwarriordrake.com. You can get the Pumpkin War Patch floppy. You can get Street Champion Road Warrior Drake or Beast Citizen Road Warrior Drake, or you can get them all. So you can still get it there. But yeah, she's gonna have her own series, not monthly, probably like yearly, maybe one series, like one comic a year. So I'm thinking about doing one comic of Pumpkin War Patch, a Road Warrior Drake floppy, and a Road Warrior Drake coloring book. I want to do more coloring books because those tend to do well with kids, and the Road Warrior Drake series tend to be like like 12, 13 years older and above. Not necessarily suitable for kids younger than that, but if a child at 10 reads that, I'm not going to, obviously I have no power over it, but I wouldn't recommend it. But 12, 13 over will be the audience for these books. And this is more of a mature audience, Floppy. So the coloring books tend to be more for kids, 10 and younger. So something for everyone in the World Warrior Drake library. That's the plan. So let me scroll down here. So, and my beloved Lady Shadowman. Oh, let me show you what Lady Shadowman got me for my birthday. You guys want to see what she got me for my birthday? Some of you may be pleased with this. I'm moving on up in the tech department. She got me the Stream Deck XLR. This is for audio. So I just watched one video of it today, and I gotta watch a couple more of these because I don't think it's gonna be difficult to use, but I gotta get a feel for it. So I'm gonna do a couple of mock streams, which you guys won't see. And no joke about people that are not watching my streams. None. But I'm gonna do a couple of test streams to test it out and then see how well it applies. But yeah, this is gonna be a game changer for the audio because it allows for audio mixing, including playing music, which I can't do with Talk Studio. But I saw in video where you can connect it to a separate source and you can play music over it. So this is awesome. So I can play music over some of the intros. So rather than just the two intros, I can do the two intros and show the thumbnail of the comic outlier artists we're doing and have music over it. So it's a game changer. So I'm looking forward to that. So you guys will appreciate the upgrade in audio coming soon, sooner than you think. Hopefully by next week's streams. Oh, look who's here. Look who's here. Of course. Of course. You know what that means. Yeah, don't think that's never not going to happen. That's always going to happen. I want people to be alerted to your brand of harassment and violence. So, but AIDS positive. Where do you get these diagnoses? What the hell's wrong with people? Like, I just come in, I type a stream, and I talk, and I share, and you guys just have these weird obsessions with stuff, with peanuts and D words, and now you got the AIDS. It's like, what's wrong with you people? Why can't you just read a comic and just be happy? Why do you have to come in here and bring your violence to me? I'm just a guy. I'm here trying to bring representation and diversity. Like, seriously, this is not going to help our cause at all. Yeah, there's Flip City Magazine. The Fun My Comic link is there. 20 people, and none of my socks are here right now. And only 6. Yeah, okay. So if you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button and get me the engagement, because the engagement helps with stuff. So that is definitely very helpful. Have I caught up in the chat? I have not. Okay, let me read Lady Shadowban's comments because she claims I don't highlight her often. So she says, "I had no choice but to buy it. If it was left up to you, you'd never upgrade. You cheap." That what you said last night. Anyway, let's see. Scrolling down more. Okay. No, don't hit my belly button. Those are the on a prime circle. Don't do that. They're AIDS. Please don't do that. They are pure, unadulterated AIDS. So let's not do that. So yeah, as I was saying before, Diane Noomin was the wife of Bill Griffith, and I didn't know that at the time, but I found out as I was doing the stream that wow, I did her husband 2 weeks ago, and now I'm doing her today. So it kind of works out. It's like poetry; it rhymes, like George Lucas would say. And this is an example of some of our artwork. This is Diddy Glyph. Diddy Glyph is one of her characters, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a bit. Let me just put myself some kind of visibility. Not that one. There we go. That one. We'll stick with that one. So Diddy Glitz is one of her characters. Diddy was her nickname. And she based the look of the character off these Home and Garden magazines from the 40s and 50s that she had. So that was her visual inspiration for it. But she got her start. So Diane Noomin got her starts in Brooklyn. She was born in Brooklyn. Her parents were commies. So this was during the McCarthy era. So when McCarthyism was a thing and they were trying to root out communism, which by the way, he fumbled the ball. But anyway, I mean, this is going to get a little political because she was born in that climate, but her parents were active commies and atheists. And yeah, there is a correlation between atheism and communism, but they were active communists. They laundered money to the Communist Party, so they were very active. But apparently, when I was doing my research, a lot of their records were destroyed. So Diane didn't know much about her parents' political leanings or their activities, apart from the very few surviving documents that she had. So there was a lot more they were probably actively involved in that she never found out about. But what she did know was, yeah, they were laundering money to the Communist Party, and they were very secretive about their political leanings. But I guess because at the time, it wasn't popular to be a communist, so you couldn't say that out loud. So people had to keep their kind of like how conservatism is the taboo word today. How if you say you're a conservative, then you could potentially lose your job or get labeled a racist, all this stuff. Back then, if you were a commie, it was kind of the same thing. As it was like a stigma, so they had to keep down low on that one. Javich, I'm trying to be serious, and you're gonna type this in the chat. Like, don't derail. Do not derail. I'm trying to be serious and offer important stuff and meat and substance and veggies, the things you hate. God, Jabba, you know what? I cry for you sometimes. I'm worried for you. I really am worried for you.
Why are you saying Kuman?
That's her last name.
It says Noomin.
Oh, is it Newman? I said Kuman, right?
It says Noomin.
It does say Newman.
The
Okay.
picture says Noomin.
I think, okay, is it Newman?
Thank you, KSS, for pointing that
It is
out.
Newman. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay. Well, you know what? It's she yeah, you go. So there you go. Okay, clip it, meme it, please do it. I don't care. I don't care because you know what? People take their time on the internet too seriously. So freak it. I don't care. Do it. Do it. I don't care. Oh look, it's the bestest girl in the world, Regina Floyd. I just found out about racism. It's wild stuff, and I know Georgina, and please, Georgina, stay safe. Stay safe out there because the world doesn't deserve you. So please stay safe. Absolutely. Yeah, they were commies. That's true. And yes, like again, communism is a well, like I said, back in the 60s, it was taboo to be commie. Today, it's taboo to be a right leaning conservative. So I gotta be careful what to say. Um, oh, my good friend Colin is in the chat. He says, hello, Colin, the creator of Emerald Man, currently on issue 20, I think, right? Am I right? Issue 20? Manicore says, hail the chat. Manicore in a rare form being kind, saying, hail the chat. Oh, never mind. I take it back because now he's going with the head shaming. I can never be nice to people without people getting nasty with me. Every time it doesn't end. One day I'm gonna be gone, and you people are gonna regret it, and you're gonna wish you were kinder and nicer to me. One day. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you people anymore. I thought I knew ye, but I don't. I just don't know ye. So let me just show another piece of artwork here. This is okay. This is jumping ahead, but this is a comic she made after Trump made that comment about grabbing women by the pussy, which by the way was nothing burger. But she got her being a leftist got offended by it, so she drew this. But I mean, it was trending, so it made sense to jump on the trend. So yeah. Of course, I ain't gonna read it, but you guys can see it. You guys can read it if you want to freeze frame it, clip it, screenshot it, whatever. But yeah, she was quite offended at certain words. So yeah, that was a thing. And here's one of her earlier comics featuring Dee Dee Glitz. Dee Dee Glitz, as I said before, was her flagship character. Let me see if I can enlarge it. There we go. And notice the usage of how the text is married to the image. Again, I talked about this a lot in my other streams, how the text becomes connected with the image. So it's not like apart from the image. It's not separated, but your eyes tend to travel the length of the page. So you're not looking at one part of the picture and just moving on. You're actually studying the picture because the words compel you to study it. And it's visually, the aesthetic is pleasing. I've talked about that a lot when it comes to that. So, just going to make sure that my stuff is organized. Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, so I mentioned she was in Brooklyn, New York at the time. She went to two schools for art in New York. First, she went to well, before she went there, she was a shoplifter, and one of her friends got caught. So her friend went to juvenile detention, and that kind of woke her up. So she straightened herself up after that. So instead of living a life of crime, after seeing what happened to her friend, she went and decided she was going to go into drawing because she was, since she was a kid, she liked drawing. She decided to make that a bit more professional. So she went to the High School of Music and Art in Harlem, and then she went to Brooklyn College. She majored in sculpting and graphic arts during her time at the High School of Music and Art, and then finished her artistic venture educational wise in Brooklyn College. Now, she did an interview where she talked about her time in art school, and something she said actually I agreed with. And this is a pet peeve of mine. So I'm going to quote her from an interview she did about her time in art school. She says, I think my cartooning had to work its way through the art because when I went to school, they were trying to turn everybody into abstract expressionists. That's so freaking true. Like there were some courses in college. When I went to school of visual arts, they had courses there and they actually encouraged this nonsense about abstract art. And there was this one prick in particular who took a laptop and an empty milk carton, right? And he put it on top of the laptop, and on the screen he wrote "No milk, buy beer." That was his artistic piece, and for that he got all these raves. And I'm going, this freaking guy didn't create any of that crap. He just put some crap together, put a fake message, and he called himself an artist. That's the kind of crap they. I'm sure they didn't do it now, in it's on steroids. I'm sure right now. I'm sure they encourage it even more so now. This idea that anybody can be an artist. Just you put something on paper or something on canvas or something on a table and just give it a message. And it just dumbs down the artistic expression and the mission. But she goes on to say Jackson. She called him Jackson Pollock Jr. Yeah, Jackson Pollock was one of the guys. Was one of the cash cows, the sacred cows. I mean, one of the sacred cows in art school was Jackson Pollock. She says, they once showed us a film where somebody was throwing paint onto a canvas on the floor and then rolling balls into it. And this was high art. The worst thing you could be was illustrative or narrative, which of course defines comics. They told you how to look at art. You're looking for the movement and all this stuff. In order to be a cartoonist, I had to try to forget all that. I had a student pass to the Museum of Modern Art and I cut class and try to look at art the way we were taught to. So yeah, so in a way, she kind of said what I've always said about the what art is in terms of its objective value. And there's a debate between is art subjective or is it objective. I'm of this is my stance. Art is subjective, but there is an objective value to it. And I've always stated that objective value was consistency and form. If you have consistency and form, then you have an art piece. This eliminates abstract art because abstract art is neither consistent nor does it have any form. It's BS. So that is my definition of art. And yes, I believe in the subjectiveness of it, but there's an objective value to measuring it. So that is where I stand on that. If you don't agree with me, you're probably a jerk, and I think you should get out of here and go into the cotton fields. That's where you belong. Anyway, Fascist Kirk says most artists are criminal drug addicts. I live in Scottsdale; they are the worst. They tend to. So the thing with the artists is they exercise the part of the brain that's emotional. It's tied together. So if an artist doesn't have a well-grounded foundation at the home, or they're not actually taught real education, they will become freaks, drug addicts, hedonists, you name it. They become those kind of people. It's a thing, you know. And I look, I know that there's exceptions, but we're talking generalities here. So I always leave room open for success. I leave room open for exceptions. There, I said it. I enunciated it. So contemporary art is garbage, as Cirque. Well, a lot of the movies and comics is garbage. Yeah, if we're talking about that, yeah, it is. It's all heavily doused in politics, social justice, the quote unquote message. We know what that message is. So it's doused in all that. So they can't tell a good story without it being polluted with that nonsense. On top of the bad writing, you know. So yeah. KSS says Jackson Pollock was funded by the CIA. He was a psyop. True fact. You're probably right. You're probably right. I always scratched my head with Jackson Pollock when I saw his stuff in the museum. I'm like, I guess this is good. I don't know, but people, especially the college professors, he He was their sacred cow. They loved him. So, but so let's see. Scroll down. I had to skip a few chats because if not, I'll be behind forever. So, um, let's see here. Uh, oh, I'm getting a tomato. Hmm. I just got some tomatoes, and we're gonna get struck for lewdness. Okay, Master Panda says, anything can be art, quote unquote, which is why we see dirty diapers framed in art galleries and dead butterflies hanging from college tiles. Oh no, from ceiling tiles in artist studios. And yes, those are real exhibits I've seen. Sad, I believe you. Listen, I've seen some insidious crap in museums and art schools. I've seen what they encourage. You're not far off at all. That example I gave you about that douchebag with the laptop and the milk cart, that's the crap they actually encourage in college, in art schools. That's the BS. So that's the reason why you have people that are like, no, art is there is no something as there's no such thing as a subjective art because of shit like that. That's what they say. That's not my view, but that's why you have those hardliners that are just like, no, there is good art and then there's shit. And they say that because of crap like that, because of abstract art. So when you try to be experimental or simplistic or whatever the case is, they have a hate boner because of it. But it's because of the abstract art polluting the ability to be creative and unique with consistency and form, as I would say. Let's see, scroll down more. Okay. Sark says, I joked in art school I would do an install where I would just dig a hole in the middle of the gallery. A couple of days ago, I saw someone actually did it. So special. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wait, last time I saw Jackson Pollock in the museum and scratched his head. That's a Norman Rockwell painting. Look, I know who Jackson Pollock is. I've been to the museums. They made sure that we went to see a Jackson Pollock exhibit. They made sure that they did. I heard the only reason Pollock got into the Guggenheim Museum is because he smashed Peggy Guggenheim. Meritocracy has been dead for about a century now. Yeah, so the Guggenheim is like uptown Manhattan. I think I think it's on the Upper East Side, and it's like it looks like a like one of those like haunted forests you go to when you go to the Guggenheim. But yeah, it's very gothic inside. So I mean, I don't know how the Guggenheim is, but I've been there a couple times. One time was because it was mandated of me for my college class to go there, and they had the Jackson Pollock. They had the Jackson Pollock. What the heck is that noise? Is that a drill in there? Okay, so it's about to go off the rails real fast. Okay. So Einbeck says abstract art is what happens when intellectuals are allowed to think they're creative. Just stuff them in lockers. The problem will sort itself out. Einbeck is advocating for a final solution. Yes. Okay, I think we're caught up. Salvador Dali was okay, let me highlight this one. Salvador Dali was quite a genius. Everything he touched was high art. Salvador Dali was a good artist. He was what Pablo Picasso was touted to be. Obviously, if you follow my streams, you know that I prefer Dali over Picasso. I think Picasso was overrated. Dali did his work better, but yes, we're going to get into an art war over it. Jabba says, I don't like your head being up top in the middle. Move it back to a normal place. It's going to stay there whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not, it's going to stay there. Not just for that, I'm keeping it there. Shut that woman up. I'll take care of that after the stream.
I said I'm never
She says she's never shutting up, so there you go. Okay. So Master Panda says that's probably the best explanation for modern art I've heard, adding Einbrecht. So it's funny. So that was Diane's position. So we kind of had this conversation just now based on what she said. I mean, we all kind of agree. Like she's totally against that crap, among other things. Which tells you that some artists that have weird beliefs can still have some things that make sense that we can agree with. So that was her time in art schools in New York. And she has listed Basil Wolverton, Art Crumb, Aline Kaminsky, who's the wife of Crumb, Cara Barks as among her influences. So those are the people that she considered her artistic influence. Now, she had her first marriage, and it there was some problems between her and her husband. Ultimately, she ended up cheating on her husband, and she got pregnant by some guy, allegedly by some guy. She didn't know if it was the guy's or her husband, so she ended up having an abortion. And ultimately, her and her husband divorced, and she left. After that divorce, she moved to San Francisco, and in 1972, she attended a party there, and she met up with Aline Kaminsky, the wife of R. Crumb, and she showed Aline some of her drawings. And Aline said, "You should come with me and submit your stuff to Women's Comics, which is one of the magazines that we reviewed at the stream a few weeks ago regarding the comic magazines anthology stuff that we covered during the independent comic movement stuff. So check that stream out. I should probably link it in the chat, not in the chat, in the description, so you guys can, if you're watching this in replay, you could see get the context of what we're talking about. But her and Aline submitted stuff to Women's Magazine, which lasted a few issues. And she talked about, actually, I should show, let me show one of the pieces that was submitted. Was it for Women's Magazine? Let me see. Here we go. Okay. So this right here was one of the covers that that Diane did for Women's Comics. And you can see again, the simplicity of it all was what was the thing back then. That was what stood out with the underground stuff apart from the mainstream. So Matt Fenton says, draw animated art school and you get an F. Take an actual dump on a canvas and smear it around with your bare hands and you'd be called a genius. You can't make this stuff up. You're half right, Master Fenton, and I'll tell you why. Because when I was in high school of art design, there wasn't much in terms of abstract art, but they did encourage the anime stuff. Like a lot of artists copied the manga anime style and they called themselves artists because of it. Personally, if you draw manga and anime, I don't think you're an artist because you're just copying a style. But still, I prefer that over the smearing of feces on a canvas. But to me, they're both antithetical to actual creativity. Just my honest opinion. I can't tell you any more of that. So they had anime in 86. Yeah, don't you remember Vampire Hunter D came out in 86. So did Lily Cat. And there was decades before that of anime. There was Space Avenger Cobra was an anime that came out. There was Mech like Voltron and I think Macross was out during that time. Early episodes of Macross. So yeah, anime was very much active in '86. So unless you're telling me that, are you saying that I was in high school in '86? I'm not that old. I went to high school from 93 to 96. That was my time. Sarka's bold statement, D word. I'm guessing you're referring to what I said about manga and anime artists copying styles, not being artists. Yes, I stand by that. Lynch me, I stand by that. But yes, that's one of the comic covers for Women's Magazine. And Diane talked about the resentment that her and Aline were getting at the time by the female staff because at the time the feminist movement was on the rise and it was very active, and there was resentment towards Aline and Diane because they had famous boyfriends. Aline at the time had met Bill Griffith, who we covered a few weeks ago, and Aline, of course, was the girlfriend / wife of Art Crumb. So there was resentment by the female staff because they probably couldn't get men, so they hated the girls that did have men. So that cut their time with Women's Magazine short, Women's Comics. That cut their time short. So Diane and Aline then left Women's Comics and they collaborated on Twisted Sister Comics. Let me put it up here. So this is a cover that Aline did. And Diane would say that Aline did the front cover and then Diane would do the back cover. And Twisted Sister would feature Diddy Glitz, which was Diane's flagship character. And I mentioned that Diddy was a creation inspired by the 40s and 50s garden magazines that she kept in her collection. Actually, when I saw Didi, it kind of reminded me of Carol. Who was it? Carol Channing, I think it was. I think that's the actress, right? Carol Channing. Yeah, she kind of reminded me of Carol Channing a bit. So, Fist of the North Star was 80. Yeah, again, another anime from the early 80s. Fist of the North Star, 100%. The series, which I enjoyed. I love the series. I love the series, and I've been collecting the mangas. I have the it's up to issue 16, and once I think it's going up to 18 issues. The manga of Fist of the North Star. Here it is. I think it's going up to 18 issues. So once I get all 18, I'm gonna read it. That way, I can read it in one shot without being interrupted. Um, so, but yeah, great anime. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to watch. Nazapana Panda has an observation. He says, Noonan draws feminine. That's Newman. See, I'm not the only one that got it wrong. Newman draws feminine girls with pretty bows in their hair and flowery skirts. Her ilk would probably consider her depiction of women problematic in current era. You know what's funny? Because the women at the time, even though they were feminists, they were still drawing the girls kind of feminine looking. Interesting, isn't it? Like they were still, they were still exploiting the sexuality, putting all kinds of sexual content on there, using their flirty ways. So yeah, they were feminists, but they were very much feminine at the time. So Guy says my college had an art gallery that was just all penises at one point. No comment, Guy. No, that explains so much. No comment. Kenshiro was Guts before Guts existed. That's regarding Fist of the North Star. Yes, 100%. Absolutely. A lot of money making smut. Look at Adam Post, Tumblr, or Preston Poulter. I have learned this has been going on before CG or the internet. Thanks, Alasma. Well, I don't know if you've even paying attention to current events in the comic space, Fascist Kirk, but Mike and Mindy Wheeler have been making this point quite often that independent comics has always been steeped in smut and sexuality, and it's true. The independent scene in the 60s and 70s, it was very heavily sexualized. Our Crumb stuff is heavily sexualized. The women's comics movement was heavily sexualized. There was a lot of that. Not with every single artist, but a lot of it was present. The Tijuana Bibles came out during this time, and they were, of course, good night. If you know what the Tijuana Bibles were, I mean that's prawn in the comic form. But yeah, it was a staple of it. So if you want my opinion, CG has not done a good job in the smut department. I'm making an objective statement here. When it comes to smut, they have not done a good job with it because the smut on the CG part has been behind the scenes, not on comic format. And again, I'm just making an objective statement. I'm not talking about advocating for any kind of degeneracy. I'm just saying objectively, smut has always been a part of independent comics since the 60s. It's a thing. It has always been a thing. So this pushback on it doesn't make sense because that's what made it stand out from the mainstream. The Comics Code cracked down on sex and violence. So it makes sense that the independent scene heavily emphasized sex, more sex and violence in the 60s. In the 80s, I think it emphasized more violence than sex. Like Ninja Turtles was very graphic in violence in the 80s, as an example. If she really wants to make a statement, she should draw her women extremely ugly and obese so there'll be no questions as to where her organs are. I think the women at the time were different than the women of today. I think women back then, they still clung on to some form of femininity. Even if they went hard left, they still clung on to some form of femininity. Today they go hard left and they become a man. They abandon their pronouns. They become okay. Anyway, so it's a different era back then. Like the girl boss movies of the 70s, they were still feminine. Like Foxy Brown, an example. That was why am I forgetting her name? The actress who played Foxy Brown and Jackie Brown. I'm having dementia. I forgot her name. What is her name? Jackie Brown. That was Pam Grier. Why did I forget her name? I had a moment of dementia. I'm sorry. Pam Grier. Pam Grier she'd be like the girl boss of today, but back then, like the girl bosses were still feminine looking. They still believed women had to be sexy looking because that's part of the femininity. So, Let's see. Scroll down more. Scroll down. Okay, let's see here. Okay, scroll down here. Okay, so let me just highlight this comment here. Where was it? Okay. Okay, well, let me highlight this one, and we're getting a little political, but I mean, this started political because that was part of her upbringing. But the current fifth wave feminism believes that in order to have equality, they must be more masculine. Yeah, it's a subversion of femininity. That's what it is. It's a subversion of femininity. It's like I said, back then it was different. Even like if they were uh far to the left, they were still somewhat feminine. Now it's just far left equals masculinity, and it's a perversion of it. So, and that's what you get when you look at these old time comics or the movies back then is they still clung on to femininity. They were still that they were still very feminine, obviously feminine. You there was no mistake. You were looking at a female, you know. So scroll down to the chat. Okay. Oh yeah, John's Longbox. Hey, how you doing, John? Welcome to the chat. John's Longbox is in the chat. He's one of the more uh informative comic creators in this space. Lots of comic knowledge. So hopefully your time here, maybe it'll be short, but maybe you'll get some edification. So welcome to the chat. Um, it's not even creative. It's shock value for the sake of shock, which is actually ineffective because everyone's desensitized to the stuff now. It's an eye roll at this point. So you see, yeah, basically, the idea of being shocking with the depiction of females and entertainment and subverting all that, the natural reaction is to eye roll it because it's you've seen it so many times. You've seen it so many times. So, um, but yeah, the whole point being is all this to illustrate just how much of the pushback that Aline and Diane got because they were with men at the time. So I guess, and she didn't say this, but based on what I gathered from what she was trying to say, that the staff at the women's comics felt that Aline and Diane kind of betrayed the movement because they were with men, famous men. So, but Dee Dee Glitz was one of Diane's flashback characters. And here's a little trivia: Diane actually played Dee Dee in these live action segments for Bill Griffith's Zippy Stories. So they collaborated together, her and her husband Bill, not just in crossover comics, but he in a TV show that Bill was doing for San Francisco TV at the time. And Diane would cosplay or perform as her character Dee Dee Glitz. Also, they weren't really outright vocal, her and Bill Griffith, with their relationship. So they kept it on the down low. So there wasn't that much conversation going on, in spite of the fact that they were always crossing over with each other's characters. So no one really got the impression that they were a couple at the time. But she knew what was going on. Like there was still that separation of men and women in comics. It was still generally considered a man's space, so a woman had to play a certain way to get her stuff seen in that arena. On top of the fact that since she was with Bill Griffith, and I think they were married at the time. I believe they were married at the time. So because of that, she had to keep that on the down low so that there was no pushback. She already got it from the female staff at women's comics. She got that pushback. So I guess they were both trying to protect each other from getting any further pushback. So her and Aline, or Crumb's girlfriend / wife later on. But yeah, so Diane was active well into the late 2000s, 2010s, I believe. Okay, so Guy has a special observation. He says, exactly, it's actually boring. Also, ironically, it makes it look like women only have their vaginas and nothing else to offer. Mazepana. That's fun. Yeah, that's, you know, it's funny, and I'm deviating a bit, but that was the message that the Barbie movie gave that I don't think they realized they were giving it. And I'm going to spoil it. So if you haven't seen it, that's tough. But the ending of Barbie, when she's out in the real world, and she said that she got the vagina, right? And she wanted to get a vagina because that to her was a real woman, was a vagina. And I'm like, oh wow, they actually undermined the true movement there. They undermined that movement there. Wow, it's like they actually admitted it that in order to be a woman, you have to have a vagina. And I'm self-censoring because I'm monotone, so I got to be clever in how I say this. But yeah, they that was the message that film gave, that a real woman had the V, because Barbie said it. So, and now it's like, yeah, if it only looks like a woman if they have their V, something else to offer. So in a way, they've actually undermined their own movement by saying that all women have to offer is the V, which that's a shallow perspective, but that's not me saying it. That's that movement inadvertently expressing it, which tells me that they don't even understand their own material. They don't even understand the message they're putting out there because they're so steeped in their own closed-minded view of things that they let out a bashing of truth against their will. It's like, oh, you kind of told on yourself there. Interesting. Um, Let me go back to this image here as I look for the next image. I've harped on that chick in the toilet. That was Elaine's drawing. That wasn't Diane, but I show that because they were working on the magazine together, and Diane did the back covers, as she stated. So, shout out to the chat. We have about 20 people watching, which is impressive for me. So, shout out to the 20. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Please hit the like button. Barbenheimer was the most astroturfed crap in cinema since Schindler's List. That was a confusing movie. That Barbie movie. Yeah, some people saying it was great. Some people saying it was trash. I thought it was great for the first 2/3, and then the third act became feminist tripe. But then even in that tripe, there was still like a subversion, and like, wow, they actually admitted some things there. They actually confessed to some things that we all knew to be true. It's like, wow, it's amazing. But to me, it was a confusing movie because I don't know if what it was trying to express, but I don't even think they understood the message they were expressing. Like they were confirming certain truths about the sexes, and they didn't realize that. This comic turned John Segal into J.J. Finch, says Fascist Kirk. So, we're living a bizarre world, says Massive Panda, when you legitimately have to worry about being demonetized on major platforms for saying chicks have V's and dudes have penises. Kindergarten cop crap. I know, it is. It is. But here's the thing. I had to go through a process to get monetized, so I feel like I had to be responsible enough to keep it. You know what I'm saying? So it on the surface it's silly, but it actually challenges you to express things in certain ways without being vulgar, without being low crass or direct and on the nose. So it challenges you. I like to be challenged sometimes, not all the time. So let me show some more of her artwork here. Let me see, what have I not showed? Let me show it. Here's the C word. This is from 1990. This is Noomin's C word. And you can see again, like the panels themselves, like 20-30% of it is the text. And this actually, okay, so this comic here. So her and Bill Griffith never had kids. And it wasn't because they weren't trying. They definitely were trying to have kids, but she kept having miscarriages. And she had to go to see a doctor about it. And ultimately, her doctor said she couldn't have kids. So she talked about it in later interviews, and she goes back to that abortion that she had, and it bothers her. You can imagine as a woman when you make that choice as a young female in your late teens or early 20s, and then 20 years later you're struggling to have kids and you can't have kids, and then you want kids, and then you realize you had that one child and you ended it. I can only imagine what that does to a woman psychologically. It's a regret for a lot of women. Like they'll have that procedure, and then years later it's like, I wish I didn't have it. So let's see here. So yeah, so that's what that C word was about. It was about the time when she cheated on her husband, and a lot of her comics were actually autobiographical, but I would say like 20-30% of it autobiographical, and the rest of it was just creative licensing because it wasn't completely autobiography. But she used her experiences to tell the stories and satirize it and what have you. So that's what this was. It was a reference to that incident, and I think I have the whole one here. Here's another page from that comic. The C word here. That's the whole page here, so you get to see the whole page. And again, the marriage of text and words, visual storytelling. You see something like this, and I don't know about you guys in the chat, but for me, I see something like this, and I'm just drawn to it because it's so aesthetically escapist. There's no like whole like you'll see modern comics, and modern comics will be like 80% picture and 20% word. And it's like you look at a picture, you're staring at it for 10-20 seconds, and then you go to the next page. Something like this will keep you on that page for a good 2 to 3 minutes. And that's the thing. It's like so much emphasis is put on art, less on writing, that you don't realize that you turn that comic book into a picture book, and the person's attention is on each page for maybe 10-20 seconds. So you have a 60-page book, and you're probably on that thing for maybe 5-6 minutes, and then you're done. Because like 80% of it is just pictures, 20% of it is just words, and the words are just not there long enough to keep you glued to that one page. A page like this here will keep you on it for 2 to 3 minutes. So you can imagine, like, if books are written like this, and you have a 60-page book, you could be on a book for maybe 2 hours. Think about that. Being on a comic book, reading a book for 2 hours, as opposed to 5-6 minutes. Which do you think was the better investment? Helmut says, the more you talk about this woman, the more I think she's the Marcy Darcy of comic books. I don't tell you to like or dislike anybody. I'm just putting it out there. She could be. She absolutely could be. But she was successful. And she made a name for herself in the independent circuit. And the goal of these streams is to explain how the independent comics was, the kind of art style they used, how it was antithetical to the mainstream, because everything had to be a certain way in the mainstream. Even today, things have to be a certain way. But back in the underground era and the alternative era, the art styles were various. They were unique. Some say they were even funky. But this modern independent circuit known as Comicsgate and Comicsgate adjacent that says that certain art styles have to be accepted and the rest has to be thrown in the trash. I'm like, no, retard, that's not true. Like, it's not true at all. It's various art styles are allowed. It's the market that determines it. The market determines it. So a successful commie, I don't believe you. They exist, Sark. They do exist. I mean, the mainstream is full of leftists, and I guarantee you, a lot of them are commies. I guarantee, like someone like Paul Verhoeven was a commie. I promise you, he was. So, Lady Shadowband's giving me a kiss on camera. I guess she wants to remind me that she loves me. So yeah, this is Lady Shadowband. Say hi.
I didn't know I was on camera.
Yeah, you're on camera. So
I guess I should put pants on.
they can't see that. Don't worry. They can't see that.
I had a long day. I didn't know the camera was on.
So, see, I get love.
Didn't even brush my hair.
I get love.
I'm in there cooking over a hot stove.
She's making some hamburgers. That smells delicious. It smells heavenly. So as soon as it's ready, I'm gonna.
I just wanted to give you a kiss. You put me on camera without my knowledge or consent.
You knew I was on camera.
No, I didn't. I'm listening. I'm not watching.
But my camera was on the whole time. I didn't.
No, it was not.
Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. So Master Panda says, I agree. There's definitely a place for pages with 10 panels and also Liefeld style splash pages. But this will definitely keep your attention on the page for a while. Exactly. That's what it's all about. It's keeping your eyes glued to that page and that book for a while. I'm done buying books that are 60 plus pages and I'm done in like 10 minutes. It's like, it's not an investment. I want to stay in that book for quite a while. I want to have fun with it. Helmut says, CG has no room to talk about quality comics because they only produce 2 types of them. The ones that are crap and the ones that got financed but don't exist. Facts. Let me see it. Okay, it says, I'm not listening, but I'm watching. I'm the opposite of Lady Shadowband. That's wonderful, KSS. That's wonderful. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's wonderful. So, am I only two or 3 frames a second? Let me see. I think I am. No, no, I'm still good. Why are you lying in the chat? Why are you lying? That's I don't accept that. I don't accept that at all. Here's another panel, another page from her works. You can see the again the marriage of the text. Actually, the text here on the upper right here with the crab baby, with the crab. That's a lobster. The lobster and the baby. You see the text that reminds me of Howard Finster. If you guys remember Howard Finster, I think he was the third or fourth outlier that we did last year when I started doing these indie comic outlier streams. That upper right is completely exactly the kind that Howard Finster would do. And it's funny because Howard Finster never did a comic, but his art was so similar to comics. And that's an example right there, that one in the upper right. That is exactly the kind of Howard Finster would do. See how it all comes together? It's like poetry, it rhymes, like George Lucas would say. So word dribbles over art, longer page time for readers. Well, the more words on the page, the more you're going to spend on that page. Let's be honest. Nobody looks at a picture book and stares at it for 5 or 10 minutes. They'll look at it for a few seconds, move on to the next page. The words are what keeps you glued to that book. So we need those words. Some person says, you got a chat that has blue balls from Raptor Stream being canceled last night. Good luck. Yeah, he was going to stream last night. That's right. He was going to stream. And I can't watch Raptor streams live because I sleep earlier. So I have to catch him on the replay. So I don't even know he streams until like midday the next day, or unless I'm on Discord and I get notifications that he streamed. But he's also been demoralized because he got demonetized. But I tell him, chin up, you can get that taken care of in a couple months. So, yeah. But yeah, that is that Howard Finster influence there. So again, it all connects beautifully, wonderfully even. Let's see here. What's this? Did I show this one here? Yeah, we saw this one already, but I'll just go back to it. This is one of her Dee Dee Glitz comics. So she was active well into the late 2000s. She got all kinds of awards, accolades later in her life. In the 1980s, she her character Dee Dee Glitz was adapted into a theatrical musical. Her husband Bill Griffith and others helped with the sets. They designed the sets, and yeah. So Dee Dee Glitz was active in the live action world. It wasn't just a limited to drawings. She actually put the character out there in live action format, and this was in New York City, among other places. But in 2022, September 2022, a month before my wife Stephanie passed away, Diane passed away from uterine cancer. She was 75, and her husband Bill Griffith was survived by her. She was survived by Bill. So yeah, Griffith was a widower, and yeah, so she lived quite a long life. Unlike someone like who was our ally before, Dory Sada, who was very young when she passed away. Diane lived lived a long life before she passed away. And I think Diane, part of it was that Diane had a more grounded. She was more disciplined in her lifestyle. So there was some activity in her sex life, but not too much drugs or anything like that. So she managed to survive any hedonistic lifestyle she had, whereas Dory Sada was a victim to it. So okay, so Raptor streamed, but it only lasted 7 minutes, and there was a problem with his router. It got hacked. His router got hacked. Sleep be damned! You must watch it live. No, I can't watch it live because I don't want to. Okay, so Lady Shadow. Okay, I'm gonna just say this because it's funny. So Lady Shadowbane has a rule in our bedroom. She says, "Raptor Jesus is not allowed. I'm not allowed to watch Raptor Jesus streams in the bedroom." That was her. That's her edict.
No.
Oh, here we go.
No, because it stresses me out and wakes me the fuck up. And I'm a Taurus. We like to sleep, okay?
So yeah, so Lord Raptor Jesus is banned. The
Yes.
streams are banned in my bedroom.
He can't come in the bedroom streaming Lord. It annoys me enough when he's in the shower listening to it in the morning and I'm not awake yet. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Making me listen to this man first thing in the morning. So, no first thing in the morning and no right before I go to sleep.
This is
I'm
getting
one of those.
this is getting memed.
No.
This is like okay. Ken says on behalf of Raptor, his internet suddenly stopped working. His Windows shit the bed. It wasn't fixed until 3 a.m. EST. Thank you. Well, I was asleep by then, so I don't know. I was asleep by then. First thing you do with a new PC is regedit, disable all updates. So yeah. So there we go. Okay. Oh, Angela's not. Hi, Angela. How you doing? Welcome to this chat. We are now an hour and 12 into the stream. We're talking about Diane Noomin, the wife of Bill Griffith, both of them who are comic artists in the underground movement. And unlike Doris Seda, Diane had a longer lifespan. So
Hi, Angela, and no LRJ on date night.
we don't watch LJ Day Night. No.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Raptor had the coffee lady over. Come on now, says Angelo. So, yeah, his internet must have really shit the bed because he's not even in the chat. But if you haven't already, please hit the like button. I'm hoping that these next few streams do well because the last stream on Monday, the Freak stream that is doing pretty well. It's got 300 views and counting. So, oh, that hamburger smells good. Yeah, I'm not gonna eat that hamburger cold. So once it's served, I'm gonna cut the stream. But let's see, did I show all of her stuff? Yeah, I think that's as much of her stuff as you've seen. But yeah, her main character, Dee Dee Glitz. Actually, did I show this? I don't think I showed this piece here. Let me show this here. This is another one of her pieces here. You get a better idea of her ink style and her simplicity in her characters. Diane Noomin. So, and the influence is definitely there for her peers. Actually, let me take off the overlay so you guys can see the piece for itself. Here we go. There we go. Okay, so now you can see the piece for itself. You can see that chick on the right with the weird looking nose. So, but yeah, so she had a very interesting life. Very full life. I've said it often, but some of these outliers will live long, some of these will live short, and you could tell which ones live short by the hard, hectic party lifestyle, which I'm pretty sure happens often in our independent space with some of these cliques. So, speaking of which, so in a couple weeks, I'm gonna be headed down to the Heroes Con in North Carolina. Yeah, so I'm gonna be there selling copies of Street Champion Road Warrior Drake and Beast Citizen Road Warrior Drake. Kirk says that's a weird looking notice. That's anti-Semitic. Well, I mean, listen. Actually, you know what? Since you brought that up, so she is Jewish. Diane is. Her parents are Jewish. They were Jewish. They're commies. They're atheists. So there you go. Okay, so make that make sense. Well, anyway, so but it's an interesting observation because she probably did that consciously. But I'll be at Heroes Con like this month, headed down the 19th, and I'll be there for all 3 days, from the 20th to 22nd. I'm looking forward to that. All kinds of shenanigans. We're looking forward to the not just mingling with the customers, the fans, fellow creators, but anything else that could be offered in that time. It'll be exciting. Anxious and exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Massive Pan asks, Aladdin, have you done Heroes Con before in the past? And is it pretty indie comic friendly? So, first question, no, this is actually my first big convention. I've done local conventions in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, but this is the first big con I'm doing. And I've talked about going to New York Comic Con at some point. I may go this year. I don't know yet, but this is the first big one. And it's a big one because not just because of the venue and because of the caliber of artists that's going to be there, but a lot of people in our space are going to be there. I talked about Twitless, Matt C. Narwhal's going to be there. Shane Davis is going to be there. I assume. I believe Mark Polton might be there. I know like LRJ Raptor Jesus will be there with capturing footage for his live stream. He may even live stream. I don't know yet, but he's going to be there. Matt Barr said he might go there. Edwin Boyette said he might go there. So a lot of people in the space is going to be there. So it's going to be fun meeting a lot of these people in face to face for the first time. So, Lady Shut Up and wants me to remind people that she took me out on my birthday. We went to eat Colombian food, which I haven't had in a minute. I love Colombian food. So we had a nice time out there. She made my birthday special. Lady Shut Up made my birthday real special. So it was a nice. She bought me a strawberry shortcake later that. So we had strawberry shortcake. So it was nice. It was a very nice birthday. It was like one of the nicest birthdays I've had in a long time. And you need that balance in life, artists. You can't rely on hedonism and drug use and all this other free spirit lifestyle stuff because it feeds the id or the ego. I think it feeds the ego. It feeds the emotional part of your brain, and it ends up with you living a very wrecked life. So little balance in your life between the art and just living a practical, regular, grounded life. Tim Wilson asks, you go to Plastic City Comic Con in August? That's where in Idaho, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see myself going anywhere past Pittsburgh as far as cons yet. Like as far as like going west, I don't see myself going anywhere past Pittsburgh yet. And I'm even taking a big leap of faith going out to Heroes Con, North Carolina. But I have family in North Carolina, and I said, "Fuck it, I'll just go." I'm also poor too. I'm a poor. I'm a poor pock, so I can't go do that kind of traveling. So, yeah. Yes, if you super chat me, I can do that thing where like if I cry, here's the thing: if I cry and talk about how I can't afford the trip because I'm a poor, that might work. You guys might send me money if I do that. So maybe next year I'll get the tears rolling and I'll talk about my poor life and how I wish I could go down to these cons in these other states, and then you guys will send me money, and then there you go. What about propaganda comics from World War II? Could you go over those? If they're done by indie comics and their art style is somewhat unique, yeah, I'll do that. I mean, that'd be an interesting topic to cover, but I know that a lot of mainstream comics at the time, like Timely Comics, Action Comics, they were doing World War II inspired stuff. So, you know, there might be a stream separately from the indie comic outlier stuff, or maybe even a video. Like I've been doing a lot of like the comic style videos, and that's been doing well for me. Now, granted, I tie it to some of the shenanigans in the Comicsgate stuff, but it's a way to kind of balance things out and to teach you things and show you a little history. Those tend to do well. Those are doing great, really great right now on TikTok. So I'll be doing more of that. So let's see, scroll down more. Do you think I'll get confronted about your recent documentaries and receipts? I believe that everybody's going to be on their best behavior. And I talked to some people about this behind the scenes. Once the con is done that day, we're going to just go with our own particular group. So I'll be in a group, and I'm going to just hang with them, and that's it. I don't got time for any shenanigans. And I think a lot of people don't either. And I think the lessons that were learned at Tampa Bay last year is because drama happens, crap happens, and before you know it, people start getting canceled left and right, and then the space gets smaller, customers go away, and the amount of books that get sold becomes smaller and smaller. So just stay. I'm just gonna stay in my spot with my group, and that's it. Kay says, last minute, Lady Shadowman took you off for Colombian food for your birthday, and you didn't take her to a real proper spa, you jerk. Listen, you're entitled to your comments. You're entitled to your opinion. That's all I'm going to say to you, KSS. That's all I'm going to say to you. So, okay, so Plastic City Comic Con is in Massachusetts. I've been to Boston one time. I've enjoyed it. Yeah. Sure, baby. Yeah. Yeah, the hamburger is almost ready. It's 9:20, so we're doing pretty good. But yeah, I maybe I'll look into it maybe next year. Maybe I'm gonna see how I do in Heroes Con first. Heroes Con's gonna be a big litmus test on how I do in these out of state conventions. What about Punch magazine from the 1800s? Huh. I'll look into that maybe. Hothead Studios says greetings to all. Welcome, Hothead. Welcome to the chat. You're near the end of the stream, but it's good to have you here. You can always go back and watch the beginning of it. We had a good amount of conversation with this. So thumb up to stream your lurkers. Give Peanut. Yeah, if you guys are lurking, because I do have lurkers. I have confirmed lurkers. I know that for a fact. So if you're watching and you're not commenting, whatever, just at least hit the like button. That's all I ask. Help the engagement here because the engagement's important. So, okay, am I catching up? Yeah, I think I'm almost caught up. No, there's more people. You guys are typing like crazy in the chat. You guys are talking. Kay says no one's going to confront you. You're talking about a bunch that seem to think talking man to man is a threat of violence, even though it's never meant in that. It's never meant that in history of the English language. That's why I said I think everybody's going to be on their best behavior, and I honestly that's really all I care about. Is I'm there to have fun, some of the comics, talk to people, and just embrace the environment, the atmosphere of the comics, of the comic sphere. So that's what I'm there for. You know what I mean? So I don't care about any of that other crap. Listen, I'm in a lot of DM groups. I'm in a lot of Discord channels, and I see what's going on in the indie space, and there is a lot more fighting and bigger than you guys realize. It is insane. And a lot of it is ego, of course. A lot of it is ego. And I could tell stories, but a lot of this is not my story to tell, and I'm not going to tell it. But it's fascinating just how much of this is happening with various groups, various people. It's like in the underground circuit, it was concentrated. Back in the 60s, that underground movement was a concentrated movement. People were networking with each other. They were promoting each other, publishing each other. And even going into the alternative movement of the 80s. Not as concentrated as the 60s, but there was still an understanding of sticking to what the purpose of that movement was. With Comicsgate and a lot of these other comic spaces around it, not the case. It's just they have lost the lesson of the 60s and 80s independent comic movements. They lost it. Why don't you discuss Wally Wood's work? Is it because it's awesome? Yeah, exactly right. Because it's considered top tier mainstream style of work. Wally Wood's pretty good. And I'm not saying these other artists aren't good, but there's a reason why I pick the artists that I do for the indie comic Outliers streams. It's because I've been told that my stuff is crap, that doesn't belong. And I'm like, all I'm doing is emulating the style of the 60s and the 80s. That's all I'm doing. So these streams are there to remind people, hey, this was a thing in indie comics. To say it's not shows your ignorance. It was never about good art as much as it was how did the art and the writing push the product. So, Fascist Character says, never had Discord or Twitter in my life, but you're saying there's more fighting than what is put out in front of the street? Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100%. And a lot of it seeps into what you don't see on Twitter will seep into Facebook. Facebook has a very large comic scene, and there's quite a bit of that nonsense there too. It happens. Yeah. I observe it and I say, okay, I ain't getting in the middle of it. So Hothead says, I've actually been practicing writing short stories over the last few weeks. Well, hell, keep on writing. I know that Wiggle's doing his Battle of the Things too, so maybe you could get a story to him and maybe somebody could draw it. I don't know, just some ideas. So tip is I don't see it on Facebook. Oh, I do. I'm not saying you should see it, but I'm telling you I do see it. It's there. So okay, once my hamburger gets served, I'm closing the stream. And we're at 9:25, so I think we're pretty good. Right now, I'm just going to read a couple more chats, and then I'm going to end the stream so I can eat my burger. But like I said, I think Heroes Con is going to be a fun time. I'm excited about it. I'm genuinely excited just to be there and hang out with people that we only see on stream and finally meeting them in person. People like Emma Wackass is going to be there. I mentioned Edwin Boyette, Matt Barr will be there. Twitless. I talked about Gnarl will be there. So I'm looking forward to meeting people face to face, actually shaking hands, and actually going out and literally having a beer or something, and just shooting the shit and just having conversations, like legit grounded conversations that have nothing to do with the comic space, and just legit conversations between adults. I'm looking forward to that. So totally. No, I'm not gonna eat my hamburger on stream because that's disgusting. I will not be judged. I will not be judged. Adam Rodriguez has a great singing voice. Well, I wouldn't know about that. If you think it's good, fine. I didn't hear it, but I don't know. I think it's kind of weird that you think that, but it's fine because you're a weird guy, Kansas. You're very weird, so it's okay. I expect that from you. Tim said, "Let us watch you eat." What's wrong with you? You're sick. Get help. Get help. Fascist Kirk. I would love to go, but I live in Seattle. That's a trip and a paycheck. I don't blame me. That's why I'm not considering Western or West Coast cons because of that. It's a lot of money and time. Henry Thrun says, "Hail, listening and driving." Hail, Henry Thrun. Hail, welcome to this chat. We'll get it end stream soon. So at the very least, I shouted you out, Henry. I shouted you out. Clip and paste that. You didn't on stream. Don't take the tomato. OFG. Sick. This is not a mukbang stream. Some person says, Wallywood's Alice in Wonderland can be described in 3 words: whimsical sexual harassment. It's a classic. I'm all for it, sure. Go to a small con in the West. Yeah, but I still have to drive out there. I'm not paying for a plane ticket to go there, so I would drive it. And that's still gas money, and then lodging is incredibly expensive out there. It's ridiculously expensive. So that's when I'm making some serious FU money. Then I'll go to West Coast cons. But right now, I'm sticking to the East Coast, and that'll be my area for now. For now, I may consider, as far as like going out west, as far as Texas, maybe. I know that Iconic has their cons out there in I think it's the Houston area they do their cons. So maybe one day I'll do one of those cons, just to say I did, just to have it under my belt. I'm telling them no, hothead. I'm telling them no. I don't want to do mukbang. So, Bollywood is the GOAT. Alasmet is the A. Not necessary. KSS. That wasn't necessary. I matter. I'm as important in this space as Frank Miller is. I'm important, KSS. Very important. I don't care what Sark says. I'm important, and I'm something. My voice has significance, and I'm influencing people the right way. So you don't get to undermine me because it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So, Belton Comic Con is in Texas. Yeah, but I can only make one trip to Texas, Tim. Again, I don't think you understand. It's to go to these other places out in the West. It's a lot of money. Like, I don't have that kind of money. Look, I'm paying my taxes this year. I got screwed in my taxes. So going to Heroes Con, I'm going to Heroes Con in spite of that. So as Frank Miller is now. What does that mean, some person? I don't know what that means. I do matter, hothead, and these people don't think I matter, but I do matter. I'm significant. I'm important. Gee says, FYI, people that actually matter don't usually have to scream. I matter to them. Those people don't have people in the chat harassing them. So I'm fighting a twofold battle here, Gee. So I have to shout it because I sing. And I sing it to the people in the mountains so that they know. They absolutely must know. They have to be aware of that. If not, I don't know what to say. The shape of your head. Leave my cranium alone, Manicore. Leave it alone. I am God breathed. That was not necessary at all. At all. No, the band is not growing. It's still just you Colors, and Jabbage. It's just those, just you three. It hasn't grown. It's just you three in your little band zone, being banned, growing. So anyway, I'm gonna call it a stream, so I can anticipate my hamburgers. And no, I'm not gonna eat it on stream. I am not gonna eat it because I want to enjoy my burger. Oh gosh, KSS. Bet you the first words Lady Shut Up Band says aloud at the con is, "What a wonderful smell you just." Oh gosh, I'll be clean for those cons. I can tell you that. And of course, I want to be in the cool kids club. But man, well now you're not gonna be banned. Now you're definitely not gonna be banned. And on that note, I am gonna call it a stream. Don't forget to check out my other videos. Check out my videos, share those videos, like them, comment on them, help the channel grow. And thank you guys for tuning in. As we talked about Diane Noomin, I will see you guys probably Saturday. By Saturday streams, I don't plan them in advance, so it's either I'll be able to stream or I won't be able to stream. So most likely, I may see you guys on Saturday, and I will be doing my usual draw stream. I haven't figured out yet who I may do Yoda. I was thinking I might do a Yoda draw stream. So that'll be fun. I may do that. So on that note, you have a great rest of your night. You guys take care. And I leave you with the greatest outro in all of streamdom. Here we go.